May I request Dr. Vats to now address all of us?
Ladies and gentlemen, one of my very worthy friends, Mr. M.S. Upadhyay, who is the Additional Commissioner of Police, is a very modest man, very simple, down to earth, very practical, and a true professional in his approach, unassuming like any other police cop, who bears the medal with all that arrogance. Now the President of Strength India Education Society, Mr. Vats, all the three directors of the three different streams that we have in VIPS, the Director of Law, Director of School of Journalism, Mass Communication, Director of Information Technology, Professor Juneja, and my very dear teachers, members of the faculty, my very dear children. I can call you in many ways because I feel as if I was an integral part of yours, and I don't know where did this idea dawn on you and why did it all happen. They just started treating me like an alien and started giving me all sorts of accolades, and I was totally embarrassed at the words of appreciation that have been so generously bestowed on me. I hardly deserve it. And three things which I have often been talking from this podium: the right conduct, the sense of duty, and sense of responsibility. Each one of our citizens need to imbibe these three qualities in one's life. He or she must have the right conduct, must have deep sense of duty, and a great sense of responsibility. These three things together, a combination of these three qualities, will make you bold, will make you sparkle, will make you stand apart from the rest, can make you genius, provided you have ingrained all these qualities in your blood. For whatever you do, you bear in mind that your conduct has always to be just and upright. Mr. Baba, I requested him please come and attend this award giving ceremony. I rather forgot that I am one of the awardees there, and it was very embarrassing telling someone I felt he would do much. But then I think he did a very good thing by attending it. At least he is reminded of his wedding and the marriage and the solemn pledge that he would have taken at that time. So I am very happy that Professor Baba could make it, and at least he gets reminded that he is a married man and owes some responsibility towards their family. So I'm very glad to know this, that two occasions in his life gave him the maximum happiness and joy. And for me, so far as I'm concerned, I think it's a journey which goes on and it never stops. It never has a pause in life. Because anything which is flowing, the moment it stops, it stagnates, or it sinks. None of us should cease to do a just act to do things fair in life, to do things that can alleviate the suffering of the common masses, and for whatever be the risk involved, if you can put forth your point of view without fear or favor, a day comes in one's life when one gets bestowed with the honors which you would have hardly dreamt of. I never thought of it, this best legislator, but I did some good job. I don't know whether it was good or bad, with a lot of journalists sitting here, journalists in the making, and a lot of people who are teaching journalism here. And I was fraught with danger. What kind of a report have I done? Because it was like touching a hornet's nest when I refer to that in Radiation of Power. A lot of bungling, I smack a rat in that whole thing, dealings, because something which didn't really appeal to me, on which the Controller General of India, CAG, which is the highest auditing body, statutory body, or the common as reading is my habit, I went through the entire statement of qualification, which contained about 2,710 odd pages, and equal volume of papers of the RFP, which is request for proposal. When you finally shortlist the bidders and you make a shortlist of 6, and then you selectively choose the conditional bidders who have been forbidden the RFP, request for proposal. And to cut the long story short, what I thought was at that time, like the Guardian talisman which he gave, keep in front of your eyes the image of a common man, a consumer, which each one of us is a consumer. We are consuming electricity, at least in the metropolis. And how agreed were those consumers, and what was their plight, and when they got almost a shock of their life when they were made to, when the electronic meters were imposed upon them, that against the electromagnetic meters which have been functional since last 40-45 years, having to do away with that and to fix electronic meters, that too, not having to undergo rigorous standardization which should have been done through the IITs, because each one of these IITs has very highly specialized technology which determines the basic unit, that this is the unit, and 100 units or 200 units or 500 units of electricity, whatever you consume, you are charged against each one of those units. So who is going to determine what accounts for a unit, and where does it really, and how can it be measured, and what are the parameters in which that should fit into? I raised this question and I asked the best of bureaucrats who had, at that time, the Chief Secretary of the state was holding additional charge of Municipal Secretary Power. And some of the people told that he is a very, very bright man, a great genius, and he has on his fingertips each and everything on whatever is presented before this August committee, which is the Public Accounts Committee, is called the Standing Committee on Finance. If you go in States and in Britain, you have a Standing Committee on Finance. Here, the role of the Standing Committee on Finance is restricted only to going into areas where the regulators have been pointed out either by the CAG or areas where you take a suo motu notice of certain glaring examples, or where you find that yes, here something has gone amiss and some procedural and financial irregularities have been committed. So the Public Accounts Committee comes into picture only then. Whereas the Standing Committee on Finance in any other country even helps in budget making. How much of allocation should be for education sector, how much should go for urban development, how much for rural development, how much for rural employment, how much for irrigation, and so on and so forth, in the different sectors. So the Committee on Public Accounts there has a far wider scope than the Public Accounts Committee that I was heading at the time. And a lot of technicality is also involved, whether it's a microprocessor chip or a fiber optic strip, and whether there was any necessity to add to a smart card a fiber optic strip, which was a proprietary item and which was forbidden by the Department of Information Technology, which said you cannot subscribe to a proprietary firm. You have to subscribe to a non-proprietary thing, which is not patented by just one single individual, which is not a monopolistic house. And besides that, they had said it should not be a vendor-driven technology, because a vendor-driven technology means you are focusing on one given vendor who alone is dispensing that kind of technology. So the whole plethora of these questions were examined very closely by my committee, and my heartfelt thanks to all those who really helped me in this stupendous task. But then most of the things had to be done by your own self, because it's the chair who shoots most of the questions to the man being examined, and as invariably a top civil servant who is so well equipped with the pretensions and with everything. They come out with something or the other. At times they seek adjournments for no rhyme and reason. So we did a good job, a neat and clean job, without any bias, without any prejudices. It was a completely neat, clean, professional job, without having to malign anybody or without having to affront anybody. But then I think in the manner that it was misinterpreted and misconstrued, and they really created quite a furor in the newspapers, and as if Dr. Vats is the only man who is creating trouble for the establishment at the helm of affairs. But then finally is the truth that triumphs. I often say truth has a face of its own, which has a glow of its own. And then finally, in the ultimate analysis, the truth that triumphs, that shines, that glows, that outshines everything else, that outclasses everything else. So this conferment of award for the 2006 Best Legislator Award is nothing but in recognition of the services which are rendered in my capacity as Chairman of the Public Accounts Committee, but it's no obligation to the citizens of Delhi. What I should have done as a legislator, as one of my bounden duties, I think I had discharged that duty diligently, at the best of my ability, without any prejudices, without any bias, without any ill will towards anybody. And as I did the things well, I never dreamt of it I'll be conferred an award, because normally awards and rewards are lobbied these days. Even the Padma Award, you run around and do a lot of, lobbying. So I'm primarily, I'm a rebel against the awards and rewards, because these come begging, if it comes for a begging, I think it's good to shun that award rather than getting that award. So, well, whatever it comes, it's a moment of pride for the entire VIPSians, for the entire people who are involved in VIPS, because not one man does the job. So many people contribute in so many ways. Quietly, Mr. Wood must be asking, how does he inspire me? Yes, you too inspire me. But I won't tell you the technique how do I derive that inspiration, and because otherwise if you get to know that you are being outsourced, your talent is being outsourced, you might start charging me. So it's better not to reveal how does one get inspired by so many people you come across. Such a wonderful exposure to the intelligentsia and to these highly scholarly people, those who have really created a niche in their own areas of discipline. It's very difficult, it's a very stupendous task to deal with them. They are a very, very brilliant people. each one of them here, sitting here is one of those jewels, and they are people who are people with great accomplishments and achievements. I have none to my credit except doing bad job and getting bad name in the bargain. But then finally, thank you very much for having to shower all this praise, which I think I'll have to work still harder. And it will encourage me to do further good for the common citizen of Delhi, because the Legislative Assembly has been referred to by the power. Legislators are not actually doing their job of legislation. It's not that it's all their fault, but there's no system where the lawyer and the lawmaker have any meeting points, anything to exchange with each other. That these are the lacunas, these are the loopholes left, and that's how these loopholes can be exploited. So there's much needs to be done so far as legislation is concerned. If legislature was strong, we would have ensured 100% accountability of the executive. And whatever proactive role you find the judiciary, is trying to discharge, giving its monitoring committee and entrusting with all the power in the court, is something unheard of, is something unprecedented, which should not have been done. You cannot confer on somebody the quasi-judicial or judicial powers without having to have the sanction of the Constitution. It's against the very fundamental spirit of the Constitution of India. So I, for one, would stand for principles, for an ideal society, for ideal laws, for whatever best I can do. The faculty here can come up with ideas, they can give me brilliant feedback, and I for sure can assure you that I will do my very best to come up to your expectations, because now your expectation would have further risen, and you would perhaps start thinking, oh, this man should have got something else. Now I'll try to get something else. If I get it easily without having to lobby for it, or without having to really trial for it, or without having to make any special effort or have Professor Power to speak for me, or taking Professor Thomas somewhere, please have some good projection of me on the television screen. No, I won't like that. It should be surely on account of my hard work. If I can, if I'm capable of, I should get it. If I'm not capable of, I better not. I better decline it. Shilpa has very well compared this whole program, and I think she is one of the jewels here. All of you are people with distinction, and my achievements do not really measure up to your achievements. You are people with high degrees and high qualifications and so many things you may have done in your life. I wish you all the very best, and thank you very much for having to bestow upon me this honor. But I would request you in all humility to please shun from praise, because it's the blow that brings the inner fire out of you rather than appreciation. As and when you find that there's something lacking in me, do point it out. I'll make good for it. Rather than just shouting, good, yes, very good. Everything is hunky-dory, don't worry, everything is going well and you're doing everything well. I may be doing 10 things wrong, and do point out for those 10 things wrong. And as I announced in these things in the Educational Society also, as a society which stands for social society for the total revival of national glory and true heritage. And in the first meeting that was held very recently on the 6th, I believe, we took a landmark decision that 1/3 of the total faculty strength and our secretarial people would find themselves co-opted on it, so that your voice can find, you have your own people to be your spokespersons, to take up your cause. If somewhere we err, you can always correct ourselves, and we can always, there's always a scope for rectitude and correction, so that the whole course, if you are going wrong, you can always correct us. So 1/3 of the people on the strength and the educated society shall by rotation, don't think that it will be going to be very stagnant sort of a thing. By rotation we'll keep doing that year after year. Like in colleges, if you go to the governing bodies of different colleges where I have been chairman, there's one junior and one the senior most member of the faculty of that college who comes by rotation on that. But here we have gone a little farther than that, and 1/3 of the total strength of the faculty and our staff will automatically get opted next year, again next year like this. The continuity will be maintained, and your regular intake, your flow of information will be both ways. A good dialogue will be established, and we will, I'm sure, we will strive from truth to higher truth. I think that's what all I can conclude here. You have kept some high tea, and I have taken a very heavy lunch. And but yes, Mr. Baba has all the good reasons to eat double, because primarily he was reminded of his marriage. Secondly, that I got the award, and his joy is double, so he can always afford to eat more. And we will all permit him, don't look towards him. Thank you very much.